Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our kids' Bible story time. And I've got to wear a hat. I've got someone brought me some hats, and it's a great big tub of hats, a lot of different baseball caps, and so this one says Pierce Foods. So that's a supplier of a food supplier. They make food, and it's a nice hat. So I got a question for you. What kind of things go on at your house? That's a pretty big question. What kind of things go on at your house? Have you ever had so many people in your house that you couldn't fit another person in the doorway? Wonder how many people, if you had enough people come to your house that they just stood next to one another and just stood there. If you filled your house, I wonder, would it be 100 people? Probably be a lot more than 100 people. And right now we're supposed to be 6 feet apart from one another. But if you could just sandwich people in there and they were just tight in there, and they were sitting on all the furniture and then all the floor space, people were standing in there. You might be able to get 1,000 people in your house. Just keep bringing them in. We've got another bedroom up here. We can get 50 people in that bedroom standing. Might be 1,000 people in your house. When Jesus started his ministry on earth, he was healing people and helping people that were sick and hurting and in trouble. And it soon became the news in the area. There wasn't a TV or a newspaper, but word of mouth. People began to talk about it. And everybody was talking about this Jesus of Nazareth. And everywhere he went, he was sharing God. He was explaining to people, you ought to meet my Father. He's worth knowing. And God is worth knowing. He's a loving Father. And so Jesus was going around telling people about his Father and how his Father could be our Father. And on top of that, he was making people that were sick, he was healing them and making them feel better. And there's a story in Mark chapter 2 that talks about one time when Jesus came to a house, and the house it was just full of people. And there were some men in the area that had a friend that was crippled and he couldn't walk. If he went anywhere, people had to carry him. And these 4 buddies of this fella, they got together and they decided, we're taking you to see Jesus. Because we know Jesus can help you. So they gathered up their buddy, and I don't know if they made a cot or if they just carried his bed that he was sleeping in at his house. Whatever it was, he was laying there on his bed. And these 4 guys, each of them got a hold of the corner where they were, and they carried him maybe down the street, around the corner. It wouldn't have been light. It was a job to carry that man. They carried him down there, and they got to the house, and when they got to the house, they couldn't get him in. The place was full. I mean, they couldn't even squeeze in themselves, and on top of that, they had a bed. How are they going to get him in there? Well, it used to be back in Bible times that most houses had a flat roof. Sometimes a flat roof, people sat up on the flat roof. And there was a stair, the outside of the house, there was a stairways, a set of steps up the side of the house, so that you could walk up these steps along the side of your house and then step out on the roof, and you could sit there in a chair or kind of lounge. You could have a blanket there. You could stretch out and just kind of relax. It was like extra living space up there on the rooftop. So they couldn't get in the house, and so these 4 men, carefully, they tilted that bed and held him just right on that bed, and they carried him right up those steps. Got up on the roof. They got up on the roof. They started taking the roof apart. If someone comes to my house and starts taking the roof apart, I'm inside, and I'm wondering what is going on up there. Everybody inside the house, I would imagine Jesus, he's in there teaching and telling everyone about his Father, and suddenly maybe dust and dirt started falling from up on top, and everybody, they hear this noise. And Jesus knew what was going on, but no one else did. And they started looking up towards the ceiling, and what in the world? And suddenly there's a hole there's a hole up. And maybe one of those men up on the roof said, "Hey, Jesus, we brought our buddy, our friend. We knew you could help him. If we make a hole in the roof, can we lower him down here and let you see him?" Well, Jesus said, "Sure." And they made the hole real big in the roof to where they lowered that bed. I don't know if they had rope or if they just laid down and they lowered him until people down there on the floor inside the house could get a hold of the bed, and they lowered it right there in front of Jesus. I mean, I asked you at the beginning of our time here today, what kind of things go on at your house? Well, I doubt you've had anything like that. They brought that man, they lowered him down in front of Jesus, and whatever Jesus was talking about, suddenly all that just come to a halt. Jesus is now talking to this man. And Jesus forgave him of his sins. And I want you to see, I want to read just one verse. Mark 2, verse 11 and 12. I'll read 2 verses. It says, Jesus said, "I say unto thee, arise and take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house." And immediately he arose. This is a man that couldn't walk. Jesus healed him. It says immediately he arose, took up the bed. I don't know, he might have picked the bed up, put it under his arm, and went forth before them all. He just walked through the crowd, and they kind of moved out of the way, and he walked out the front door, down the sidewalk. And he was going home, just like Jesus said. And he went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and glorified God, saying, "We never saw it on this fashion." And so everybody in the house, when the man stood up, grabbed his bed, walked out the door and down the sidewalk, everybody that was in the house was like, "Oh, we've never seen anything like this before, ever." That was an amazing thing. Do you know that there were a few people in that house that hated Jesus? They were sitting like over in the corner. Who does this man think he is? He said he forgive that man his sins. Nobody can forgive that a person of their sins except for God. Well, the truth is, Jesus is God. He's God the Son, and he can forgive sins. And so Jesus had every right to tell that crippled man on his bed that he had forgiven him his sins. That man had chosen to believe, along with his 4 buddies, that Jesus could help him. I don't know, it doesn't say anything about his 4 buddies, but I imagine they went with him, and probably going down the street, they were high-fiving. "Yes, man, we knew it would work. That Jesus, he's wonderful." And so, again, I'm asking you, what kind of things go on in your house? Wow. I would imagine after that, anytime someone walked down the street, they would point and say, "Hey, you see that house over there? That's where those 4 guys tore a hole in the roof, and they let their buddy down, and Jesus healed him." And so maybe if you live for Jesus, and you're kind to your friends and your neighbors, maybe when someone walks down the street, they'll look and they'll point a finger at your house and say, "Hey, you see that house right there? Those kids that live there, they're really good kids. Those kids love God." Or maybe someone walks past your house or drives past your house and they say, "Hey, see that house right over there? The people that live there, they love Jesus. They love God. They are the kindest people. They'll help you. If you need something, they'll help you." So what kind of things go on in your house? Would it be things that honor God? Or is there fighting and bickering and yelling and screaming and even cussing? Wouldn't that be terrible? Make sure that the things that go on in your house are things that honor God. Like what happened at this house. God healed a man, and everybody was amazed. Wow, we've never seen anything like this. Jesus, he's amazing. He can do wonderful things. Have a good day.